Hello, everybody, and welcome to Meadowmere LARP. This is one of our monthly socials. So we've got two big things that we were going to talk about today. One, a big announcement for us, and then two, we were going to talk about character creation, and we have at least one person on that was wanting to go through character creation for a character, but we might talk about some other aspects of it as well, just to help those out there that may be coming in and interested and don't know where to start. So we want to try to help them the best we can. First and foremost, I, on behalf of the GM team, want to let you guys know of something that we just got set up yesterday, and that is we now have official Meadowmere branded merch. We took our logo and we've transposed it onto a bunch of different items, and I want to give you guys kind of a quick little glance here. I'm going to share my screen. And so the link is on the website. We are going through a company called Redbubble. Some of you may have used them before. And this is the logo that we are using, our Meadowmere logo. And if you come right down here, we've got a ton of different styles of shirts, clothing items, everything from long sleeves to hoodies to t-shirts, all at different price points as well. For some people that were looking for some other types of items like stickers, we have those available. We've got some...
Did you turn some other ones on, Jeff?
Because
some of those are ones that I didn't turn on when I put all that stuff up. Like the bedspread. Nobody needs a Meadowmere bedspread. That seems silly.
I didn't turn them on, but that's interesting.
Okay.
Well, so this is one of the fun things.
Shower curtain? Does anybody want a Meadowmere shower curtain?
Yeah.
So here's the fun thing about Redbubble, and one of the reasons why we went with it. Redbubble has a lot of variation as to the product, so you can put your things on. But yeah. So, and the thing is, I think in a lot of these also, you're seeing it in the in our Meadowmere green, the color scheme that we have. You can get this with a lot of different backdrops and everything like that. It has
on the like on the shirts and stuff, there's a bunch of different colors, but like a lot of these there's not.
Oh, okay.
Some of
like the notebook, the shower curtain, all this stuff down here, that's the color you're gonna get. But the shirts do have other colors that you can do.
But so Redbubble makes all of these things to order. So fortunately, even though we have truly more options than we really even needed or wanted, we're not paying for all of these. So these are not like all in production at the same time. So
yeah,
if you see something weird and you want something weird, just go for it.
Yeah.
If you want an athletic bag to take to the gym that has our brand on it, go for it. We're not going to stop you.
Hey, anytime you want to advertise Meadowmere, we will be thankful.
You know, Ryan, your words were about the same thing that I used to say in my dating phase. You see something weird and you want something weird, then just go for it.
Yeah.
But point of that is, this is something that people have been asking for in the past, and we wanted to make sure to offer something to you guys, and especially with the holidays coming up, this was a great opportunity for us to open this up for you. And if anybody wants to purchase any of these things, it's all drop ship. So basically they print it to order, and they mail it out to you directly.
Yeah. And if there isn't something up there that you do want, let us know. We can see if they offer it.
Yeah.
If and I think this will go through pretty well, this entire merch run, we'll consider in the future releasing other designs and stuff that reference in-game things to be put up for the merch store. But this is really going to help us in this off season of helping to fund the next because we can't generate any revenue right now, to help us do things like we have plenty of money to get to through the next season of paying insurance and website domains. But when we get to the next season and we want to reserve a campsite or something like that, we'll have help. If you guys help us support it like this, we'll have plenty of money to reserve a cool campsite like we do like we've done in the past. So
yeah, so take all the money that you would have spent on us throughout this year and then just buy things.
buy things, consume product.
Consume product, become capitalists.
Yes, good.
But with that, guys, like Ryan said, over time we might add some new designs to it. We've discussed possibility of adding like the orders logo or maybe some of the house logos or something to them for items that might even be able to be in game. Like maybe their logo is on a notebook and that's what you use because you work for the order. And so you need a notebook for the order.
I mean, one of the options up there is a tapestry that you can order. And if you wanted to have a potentially in-game tapestry representing the faction that you affiliate with, and we have those affiliated factions up, that'd be pretty neato for you to bring.
Count me in.
I would 100% have a tapestry for the Artisans Guild because that'd be bomb.
We could potentially consider doing guilds. We could potentially consider doing the other nations. Just let us, if you order these products in and you really like them, let us know over the coming months what else you would want to see braided merchandise, and we will consider putting that up in the upcoming season.
Yep. Awesome. Any questions, comments, concerns about merchandise?
All good.
All right. Well, then shall we move on to character creation?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to share my screen one more time just to point out to you guys where you go on the website to look at character creation information. And so you can kind of get an idea of what is there. So
I'll be right back, King.
no problem. So here we have the website. Up here at the top, one of the things you'll notice is that there's now a shop icon on the menu. But
I
we
can't
also,
see anything. My screen went dark.
oh no, let me fix that.
I can see things.
How's that? Can you guys see now?
Yes, I can see now.
Great. So here on the menu, we do have a icon for shop, an option so you can jump right to our Meadowmere shop. But also we have our character creation link here as well. And as you come in, there's a table of contents. There's a whole bunch of things on here for things to consider. but it comes down to a few very specific things. We have some overview of designing a character. We have some information on choosing a race, choosing abilities, character quests, how to make money, the death and defeated system, and then also character submission with our waivers. So just some information here. We have a section on designing characters, information on what races are located in game and what races are considered to be non-native. Information about our abilities here. If you want to fill out a character quest to grow the character after you've made them. Different ways of making money in our economy. And then opting into the permadeath system. And then here's our character submission form right here with our links to the 2 waivers that we have. So this is where you'll go if you have, if you want to create a character or if you want to create a quest for your character. But let's talk to Ryan here because Ryan is wanting to create a new character. It's been a while since he's had a player character.
All right.
So Ryan, tell us the idea that you have around your character.
Okay. So I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be dumping a decent amount of CS points or civil service points into beefing up a new character concept since, you know, I haven't been around for a while, so I've got the points to spare. This will probably give you a good idea of, you know, creating an alt for a new character.
For those of you guys that are new, our civil service system is a way of getting points by doing things like volunteering or donating things to the colony. And you build up points over time. And some of the options for those points will allow you to come in with a new character with some updated features.
Yep. So, the general idea that I had for a character is going to be a native human from Duchy Stenstrom and from, what's that place called? Keep forgetting it.
The Whispering Wilds?
Whispering Wilds, yes.
Yeah.
He is a retired monster hunter. Specifically, he was part of the ducal hunting retinue. And one of the things that I'm going to submit for for GM approval, and we'll see how this pans out, is that he basically receives a pension. That he receives soldier's pay for the rest of his life for not having to do anything. Basically, as part of he hit it big in a hunt, and this is him collecting a pension and not choosing to live like a life of wealth and stuff and just retiring to the countryside.
So that would be a updated background, I believe,
Yep.
on the civil service system.
Yep. So that's the first thing that I want to do. And then also to signify that he is a little bit more experienced than the typical, you know, new player or completely new character. I would submit 2 additional abilities slots for him. I think I can do 2, correct?
Yeah, you can.
Yep. So 2 additional ability slots. And yeah, other than that, the way that I'm thinking about building this particular character is I'm taking a little bit of incentive from the Witcher books and some of the games and stuff, of having a monster hunter archetype that is based a lot around pre-planning and equipment and knowledge. So I would be taking the craft artisan and craft alchemy and potentially craft artificing, but I think I'll do craft artificing as well. I would be taking lore, which that might be revisited and redone here in the near future, how all the lore stuff works, but that's neither here nor there. And then potentially a singular combat ability.
Okay. Awesome. Now you mentioned that you were wanting to have him from the Whispering Wilds. Why was it that you were choosing the Whispering Wilds? Like, what about it drove you to it?
So the Whispering Wilds, and part of what the background of the Whispering Wilds is that it is a magical fallout zone. A lot of stuff in the Whispering Wilds is a harsh, inhospitable place that is, again, due to a magical war that happened there a long time ago and transformed a lot of the flora and fauna to be more dangerous than they typically are. So there are a lot of monsters there. The folk that live in Duchy Stenstrom and in the Whispering Wilds have a very almost a bleak worldview, but so much so that it is humorous to them. If you are familiar with Finnish sense of humors or Russia or Russian sense of humor, it's very much that. Life is short and cheap and dirty and horrible, and isn't that kind of hilarious? Type of thing.
Yep.
So he has been part of the ducal hunting retinue of Duchy Stenstrom for a few years, probably about 10 years, and has gotten enough notches under his belt to go like, yeah, no, I'm done with this because I'm gonna die if I keep doing this.
What kind of personality were you thinking of for this character?
Personality is going to be a very much a person who is going to be. So one of the things you don't want to do with a LARP character is you don't want to pull them away or lone wolf them too hard from like the rest of the thing. It's a social game. You want to socially invest them into the ongoing surroundings. So he wants to not be an adventurer anymore, but he has the experience of being a monster hunter and monster tracker and adventurer. So it's going to be a series of him showing up, his personality being a person who just wants to go to the countryside and have a quiet, peaceful, somewhat debaucherous life, and just not have a whole lot of cares in the world. But as problems crop up, he's not going to be able to resist the ability to talk and like give advice and eventually participate in the goings on around him as threats ramp up.
Awesome. So you've worked out kind of his history, you've worked out his personality. What do you think his overarching what's the best way to put it? What drives him forward? Is it the trying to find a place where he can be alone, or is it new and interesting? How do you look at it with this character?
I don't know about a big overarching drive for him. I'm probably actually gonna have to discover that one in game. Because his goal is to retire. His goal is to have a nice, quiet life. And me, the player, am going to tell try to tell the story of a person who wants a nice, quiet life, but really actually doesn't.
So it might be even a thing where if things start to get too settled for him, you might even submit a character quest that pulls him into the action again.
Oh, I already have something in mind. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, to be fair, is a little bit of my knowledge as a GM of potentially what might be actually kind of lurking in the Whispering Wilds or something like that. But there's going to be, even if I didn't, I would be like, my immediate thought would be, oh, let's have something come down from the wilds that nobody's ever seen before and doesn't know how to handle in this part of the world.
Yeah, because the Whispering Wilds isn't right next to where we're at, but the regions do overlap or are right on the border of each other. So it's fairly feasible that if something left the wilds, could make its way down into the plains very easily.
Mm-hmm. So, but this is all to say, though, I'm intending to play him as a more background support character that gets dragged into things, dragged into things, but mostly like very easily to drag into things, like not, he's going to be easy to be baited into, giving a lot of information, helping out a lot of ways, and giving a lot of insight.
Good. And like you pointed out earlier, LARP is a social game, and so just because he doesn't want to be in combatant doesn't mean that he's not going to be interacting with people.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. I want him to.
Right.
So I'm going to orchestrate his fate to become such as that he gets drawn into it.
Yep.
That's how you tell a story, though, is you find out what your characters don't want and you make them deal with it.
Yep.
Or find out what they do want and don't let them have it.
Yes. He wants a peaceful life. He ain't going to get that. He thinks, oh, yes, this farmland that's the Southern Duchy, that must be a peaceful place. No, no, it's not.
Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, just ask our players how peaceful things have been.
Yep.
Is he a pacifist?
No.
Okay.
He is more reluctant to get involved than he is morally obligated to not be involved. He has a skill set. He knows he's good at utilizing that skill set. He just thinks it's a selfish concern of, if I continue to utilize the skill set, I will find myself dead before I'm 40.
So he's
early
a
while you can.
Slavic influenced pragmatist.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for Ryan about his character?
What's he look like? What clothes does he wear?
I'm also anticipating him to have an evolving outfit. He's going to be, he's going to come in with some. Let's see. I have a blue tunic with like a runic centerpiece on it. Nice green cloak, my big green cloak. Black trousers, and kit wise, he's going to come in with, his various crafting kits. I'm wanting to try to make a few simple instruments for him to wander in with. Basically, his thought is, I'm going to drink beer all day, play the canjo outside my hut, and like not have a care in the world. and then he's going to have. I made the decision that he's going to wander in, having sold most of his monster hunting gear, and bought a lot of secondhand traveling gear just for the travel. So the only thing he's going to keep is his the big shield that I got from Doug. Big shield, potentially a mace, and a shirt of ill-fitting chainmail. And then as I develop him further and further, he's going to realize he needs his monster hunting gear again, and I'm going to throw down and get him a big frick-off spear, and potentially some heavier armor.
Awesome. Have you thought of a name for the character yet?
I keep the name is the one that is the thing that keeps eluding me. I've tried like Edvard before. I don't know. It's going to be a Northern European name, so it's going to be something Scandinavian. That's all I know.
Okay.
Potentially more Finnish than anything else.
That's cool. You might be able to look at, given its influence on the language, you might be able to look at Tolkien's Elvish for some inspirations. Actually, because I mean, from what I've read, that was mostly influenced by Finnish.
Huh. Okay.
It's supposed to be one of the reasons why I can't think of the actor's name, but the one that played Aragorn had an easier time being able to speak Elvish because he spoke Finnish.
Huh. That's neat.
From like his background. So there you go.
I do believe you're right. I do believe that Finnish was a primary component of that one.
I'm pretty sure.
All I can think of is Dimension 20 and Brendan Lee Mulligan going dunking on Tolkien elves and making them just F's and THs everywhere. So threatening.
Well, Finnish folklore is kind of cool when you get into it. You would expect it to be like Scandinavian, but it's not. It actually seems a little bit more almost Native American seeming. So it's interesting to look into, like the little bits that I've seen.
Interesting.
There's also a lot of Russian influence in Finnish culture as well.
Yeah. Which
awesome.
I feel like I had a question for you and I can't remember what it was. And I'm also trying to think of I love the concept of a warrior that's abandoned his war, that's set aside his sword or what have you. I'm trying to think of the name of the older movie with Jeremy Irons and I can't think of actors' names. There was a movie that was about a monastery in South America. And one of the actors in it, major actor, played a man who had killed his brother in a duel. And as penance, he joined the monastery and threw his sword away. But then when war came to the land, he had to reclaim his sword. Beautiful movie and a beautiful character concept. And I like the idea of your character taking his tools there, but having them hanging up on the wall somewhere and kind of gathering dust for a period of time before he actually takes them back up again. So even the idea of rusted armor is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Traveling so much and fighting so much stuff previously, does he have any prejudices?
That's a good question.
Prejudices. He might have, I would say, if it's anything, he has concerns about extraplanar creatures. I think he operates a lot of the ideology of if you say hello and it says hello back, it's probably okay. Like, the worst that something that says hello back will do is stab you in the back. Like, and there's worse things that can happen to you out in the Whispering Wilds. He's so, but in general, he probably has an, again, the thing about the Whispering Wilds and actually the Northern Duchy of Stenstrom is there's actually a lot of cross-cultural traffic that goes through that duchy. There's a lot of overland trade between the Dwarven and Elven kingdoms, or not kingdoms, between Bahir and the Ankram. So they he's probably met more than his fair share of people from other cultures. On top of that, just having a survivalist type culture is probably more a little bit more egalitarian than having a more like bureaucratic or secure style of culture. So I would say he probably doesn't have a lot of prejudices against anything, definitely not anything native. And again, if he can talk to it, it's probably okay. Probably.
How does he feel about citizens of the other duchies? Because one of the things that we have written with this Duchy Stenstrom is that they kind of see outsiders as a little bit weak, in the sense that they're not dealing with the same thing that they deal with in the Whispering Wilds. So how does he view that?
If anybody's familiar with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, he is very much of the mindset of people from the Briggs Wall. It's very much of a, like, yes, you guys might be, you guys definitely have bravery, you definitely have competence and stuff like that, but you're not on the caliber of the people that I've worked with, and you don't understand what it really means to be under a constant threat. A constant threat from a force that could crush you if it got even the slightest upper hand on you. So that's his thought about the other duchies and even people from the capital. Like, it's like, you guys are doing what you're doing, cool. You're participating in this big, I think another thing that makes him more, makes that duchy feel more separated from the other duchies and the capital is that it is, you have these badlands in the Whispering Wilds and stuff like that that kind of actually serves as a physical barrier between them and the rest of the duchies, and the only contact they get is through a lot of the only outside contact they get is through Bahir and the Ankram. So they almost feel probably like it is its own nation and that it has its own problems that are separate from the Empire.
All right. This is where we get into some really interesting character decisions.
Yeah.
By the way, the movie I was mentioning is The Mission.
The Mission.
Yes. Okay. It stars Jeremy Irons. Robert De Niro plays the character that I was talking about, the mercenary who becomes a priest who goes back to essentially being like a mercenary. It also has a young Liam Neeson, Aidan Quinn. It's 1986. Wonderful movie. It's actually one of my favorite films.
It's really cool. Look at that.
You might want to look at it. It's not very similar to the concepts that you're talking about, but it's still lovely to watch. It's a gorgeous film, and I still love, although the character that De Niro plays is not a likable character, he's still interesting. So
Cool.
Well, Ryan, I've got one last question for you,
Okay.
character-wise. And it's one of my favorites when talking about character creation. And that is, what flaws does he have?
Okay. Huh. So he has a short flaw, like a flaw that's going to be that's obviously short term and going to be resolved fairly quickly, and that is he has an optimistic outlook on his prospects in life as he goes to a foreign land. But that's going to be short lived. I'm trying to think of more long term actual personal flaws.
Does he have any what's the term for this? Battle stress.
He can be at times, yes, paranoid. I think when or as potentially as his setting changes, he is definitely adapted to a setting that would make him seem more paranoid than is warranted.
Okay.
So when asked if he has any prejudices, no, he doesn't have any prejudices. He is also probably at most times thinking about how he could potentially murder everybody in the room if they all turned against him suddenly.
All right, Batman.
While trying to maintain a demeanor of, yes, I'm a chill dude here to drink and live my retirement. But I think he is probably rehearsed in the thought process of everything could potentially be a threat, and you should remember that. You should remember that always.
It's hard to let those preconceived behaviors go.
Yes. And again, he thinks that less about people around him so much as he thinks that about the environment that he's in. So if he were to hear a stick break in the woods, his thought isn't, oh, that's probably some wild animal. It's like, oh, that might be a thing that could eat me. I need to make sure that I pay attention to that sound and track that and make sure that that doesn't sneak up on me.
So you might look up PTSD and
a little bit
DSM-4 symptoms are, and just play them a little bit in the character.
A bit. But he also has this is not to say though that he doesn't have a small distrust of people in general too, because hey, wherever you go in the world, people are going to be people, and you shouldn't trust all of them. And especially in situations where lives are on the line all the time, or there's a ever-present danger. Sometimes, yeah.
There's the saying, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're all not out to get you.
That's as far as character flaws, that and potentially a little bit of sloth and gluttony. Just where he thinks he can get away with it. But that might pan out, that might not pan out. I don't know how I won't know exactly how I play him until I play him.
Of course. Well, and that's a really good point, is that you can create a character and think that it's going to work a specific way, but when it comes to actually getting in and playing the character, and this goes for RPGs or LARP, anything like that, it evolves over time. The character makes decisions that the player doesn't always realize, like, wait, why did I do that? That doesn't make sense to me, the player, but the character, it made sense to them. So it's okay if the character evolves.
There. Oh, I can think of potentially one other thing that he might have that it would be a flaw. That definitely other people would see as a flaw, and that's a sense of brutal survivalism. And that might be a situation of this person might get me killed. I have no scruples about leaving them in the woods alone if it means that everybody else gets to live.
Oh yeah. Okay, I get you.
So it potentially more of that mental math of equating whose lives might be the most, if it came down to a situation of trying to get the most people out alive, he has no real scruples about making the judgments of, all right, well, I need to live so I can make sure that everybody else lives, and who's the most expendable out of the lot of people that are here.
And that brings drama, which is
Yeah.
great for game.
But also in the sense of the Briggs, the thought of people from Briggs is like, just if you're not familiar with the reference, people in that situation is like, oh, if you died, it was because you were weak and you didn't know how to get out of the situation. But obviously, like, our best course of survival is to make sure that everybody's living and in fighting condition. So it's that sort of brutal, harsh survivalism of like, oh, you got left behind. That's your fault. You should have, established a way to not get left behind. But at the same time, it's like, we got to make sure that everybody lives, or as many people as possible live, because otherwise we could potentially all die.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting balance.
Yeah. All right.
Any other questions, guys, for Ryan's new character?
No.
Has he ever, or might he ever, bite off more that he can chew when fighting something?
Yes, he has. He makes plans to never do so. That is his entire MO for monster hunting, and his entire philosophy as a fighter and everything like that is to pre-plan everything and make sure that you have contingencies for all of your extra pre-plans, including how to escape and survive. So this is, yeah. He doesn't try to. And he makes a lot of efforts to never do so.
Nice.
If it's helpful, when I presented backstories and what I call a questionnaire on Hanu and on Kieran, I do it from a book called Writing Believable Characters. So most of the questions that are in there that I answer are how you would write to present a character in a story or whatever. And that can give you some more questions to ask yourself, just as you're getting a better mental picture of what you want the character to be like. Things like, what are some long-term goals? What are some short-term goals? Stuff like that. I might even have a book behind me somewhere in my bookcase. I'm just not sure. But what I've done with people that play in the games I run is, where they're willing, have them fill out a similar questionnaire, just so they have a better idea, not only of who the character is, but also what kind of plot hooks can we potentially draw on to draw you into things, which gives us the stuff like the flaws and backgrounds, quirks, where a quirk is not as serious as a flaw, but it still gives you more character.
Yeah.
What's your speaking style? What's your general dressing style? How do you see yourself? And I like those things, even though they can change, because it gives you more of an idea of, okay, this is this character's voice versus my voice.
Exactly. And Ben, you're right on the money with that. And for any of the new players that may potentially be watching this, these are the types of things that you want to think about as developing a new character. And there's a ton of different resources out there. Ben brought up one really great example of a place where you can get a lot of those kind of character questions. You can also just search online too for other questions as well.
I have a whole bunch of question lists from, little 10 character questions to hundreds of questions.
Mhm.
And I'm willing to share if anybody wants them.
I love that personally.
So
It's fun to be able to get that voice.
I like doing these hypotheticals of exploring a character, but I found specifically for me, I don't know how much this applies to other people in LARP, that one of the best things to do is to get this like rough draft idea and not think too hard about the specifics of a character, and then just go and do it. Because I find so a lot of the ways I do characterizations, not having these decisions laid out, it is almost more of how do I process information through the lens of this character, and how do they see the world through that processing, and then because one of the things that I've seen talked about for like D&D and for LARPing and for any tabletop game is that your backstory helps start what you're doing, but the story of the character is the game you're playing. So trying to bog yourself down in making a story that has already happened for your character is kind of not necessarily pointless, but is can be at a certain point unnecessary for the execution of what you're wanting to do, because what you're doing is, the entire purpose of bringing them into a game setting is to tell a story with them. So, having this big, lush, fleshed out backstory is only necessary for potentially a character that has already almost been through its own game. And that's like a meta level of storytelling that's again not necessary. I don't for me isn't necessary to bringing a lot of new characters into a game system.
And you made two really good points there, Ryan. The first one I want to to specify is everybody's way of creating a character is going to be different. There's no one way to do it. Everybody has their own kind of methodology, and we do what we can to assist new players with trying to discover things about their characters. The other point that you made in that was that the backstory and the character's story are two separate things. Their backstory is just who they are. It's not their story. Their story is what we're telling in the game. And so those are really great points.
So yeah. So if anybody is ever watching this and going like, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do with this character or how to answer all these questions, or it's really hard and I'm getting like, it's becoming not fun to do this like character creation, maybe your best version of character creation is just coming up with like a couple ideas and literally just trying to going to a game and seeing how you think as you try to portray that character. Because that has gotten me, you'll immediately jump to the fun thing of actually playing the game that you wanted to play, instead of if you have a lot of fun doing the answering all the questions and creating all the details, then do it. It's all about having fun. Do the thing that has the fun. But if you find yourself stressing out about making a new character, maybe just go out and throw it out there, and hey, you've got 2 sessions in our game at least to completely rewrite your character anyway. If you find out you don't like what you're doing with this guy, just change it. Just change it. Who cares?
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan, for sharing your new character with us. Is there anybody else on that wants to go through a similar process, is interested in a second character, or just wants to kind of practice on it?
Did you guys go over my character, the new one?
We haven't looked at what you submitted yet because our GM meeting is tomorrow, but that's when
Okay.
we'll look at it. Do you want to talk about them and some of the choices you made?
It's kind of just an idea. I'm not quite sure if I can play her that well because she's supposed to be a spoiled brat. So I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do that.
Sure.
I already liked her from the weekend last time, actually. So
Yeah.
Can't wait for those pictures to come out. Oh my gosh.
oh gosh, yeah, I want more.
Awesome. Well, anybody have any questions for us? You have 3 of the 4 GMs on right now. Any questions about the game? About
There's a Rick down there.
is there a Rick? I didn't see him come
That's
in.
Rick. I assume it's Rick. No,
I didn't-
there's no camera, but it says Rick on it.
I didn't see the Rick come in, so I apologize. You have 4 of the 4 GMs all here in the meeting with you. So if you have any questions about the game, the system, next year, anything that we can try to address, feel free to ask us. I don't know if we have an answer, but we can try to.
I got one for you.
Go ahead.
Oh wait, no, you go ahead.
You.
Matt, go first.
Yes.
So the idea of I know this was brought up maybe a couple months ago about personal traps. Like, let's say you have somebody who's trying to pickpocket you, and the idea came across, well, could you booby trap something like one of your pockets? That way, if somebody tried to pickpocket you, they spring the trap, and then something, mischievous happens to them or whatever. Have we thought about anything like that, or thoughts, comments, ideas?
We are currently workshopping a new idea for ground traps, and we will see. We can potentially address that once this workshop has gone through. But just to say right now, there's a new idea for how we're doing trapping and or how we can execute larger traps, and we will see how that pans out to the rest of the game when we have that all sorted out. I know that's vague. I'm sorry about that, but yeah.
Something else regarding abilities. Yes. Shush. We ability stuff, unless it's intensely breaking the game, we save that stuff for the off season. So that's something that wouldn't necessarily have been talked about yet at a meeting.
But yeah, not out of the question, but we're looking at some things in that area. Great question. Thanks, Matt.
My question was also around abilities. At one point, we were talking about what specific things you can actually do with alchemy. And I'm guiding this mostly from Hanu. So what would a specific potion allow you to do? And what would other development of potions allow you to do? It seemed a little bit vague, and I wasn't sure how to put Hanu's ability to do basically brewing with it, or what happened when you did other things with it. It seems a little, maybe this is me, but it seems a little bit unspecific.
Sure. So let me just talk about the crafting, specifically alchemy, for just a moment on how it works, and maybe that might clear it up a little bit,
Okay.
and we can go from there. So our crafting abilities start with 5 uses, and each of the crafting abilities have recipes specifically dedicated to that ability. Each recipe has its own requirements to learn it and to craft it, and they have their own effect. So right now we have some recipes out in the game. We have some other recipes that we've built that haven't necessarily appeared in the game. And so for something like brewing, if it has a specific effect, we might have something that already has that effect, or it might be something where we can create a recipe that fits that type of effect that you're looking for.
Okay.
Additionally, like, so you make a brew, whatever I don't know if it's beer or whatever.
Alcohol in his case.
Beer. You make your booze, and it makes somebody feel better. You use the healing potion, and that's just your flavor for the characters that you're making booze with it. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be I'm making potions. It can be, no, I am brewing this. It's, you consume it and it does the thing. So.
Yeah. That's one of the beautiful things about our system, is that everything can be themed however you want it. So the health potion might be a medical salve that you put on somebody's arm, or it might be a drink that you drink. It could be a certain type of alcohol, or it might just be something that you found underneath the creature that was out in the middle of the Whispering Wilds, and you're like, huh, what can I do with this?
Ted goes, no, don't eat that. That's poop.
But poop can be very useful for things.
Right. But all of those could just be the health potion. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. Do we have
You
any?
have to spend time making it, but like.
Yeah.
Do we have many of those like recipes available to peruse through so that, for instance, another beginning character like myself might be able to look through it and be like, okay, I want it to be like this thing.
I don't think we have that available openly right now, but that could be something that we can work on to try to get like a list out there.
I feel like that would be helpful, because otherwise then alchemy seems like, okay, this is this nebulous thing that I have, but I have no idea what I'm doing with it.
Sure. Until
I actually come up with this is the first formula I'm making. So like health potions are a good example, yes. But I don't really see Hanu's Baiju as a health potion. He would like to develop it into something, and it might act as a disinfectant, but really it's mostly an intoxicant.
Mm-hmm. So what effect would you like to have from, because it sounds like there's the one thing that you have in mind. What effect would you like to have?
But real quick, I'd like to interject there. We do have a status effect chart for intoxicants. So,
okay.
And I believe there are potions and poisons for each of them, or potion or poison.
Okay.
That does those things.
So
but there's one that is basically you're drunk.
Okay.
There's what's that entire track? If we want to, we can read out that track real quick.
I think it's impaired.
Yeah. So
lesser impaired poison. It makes you drunk.
Okay.
The impaired poison, wandering with extreme emotions, and major impaired potion is uncontrollable divination. And if you get that, GMs basically get to follow you around and just like spew blather at you.
We've had one person, I think, get to that level at one point, and just
Didn't we have that, use that bird mask and?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was just a GM that at the time was out of game for everybody else, but was just continuously messing with the player.
We put an orange band on them and then told that specific player that you can see me and interact with me.
Yep.
Nobody else, to everybody else, that that character was out of game completely.
But yeah, so the track is intoxication.
We do have this air table here that's got recipes in it. Is that done?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, why don't we just share a link to that?
Okay.
That would
Yeah.
be great. You know, just
I'll see
something.
if I can get one for the whole thing, but
I would say that from the discussion that we're having, that what Hanu does is a major intoxicant. And besides, most of the stuff that y'all are talking about, Hanu's probably done it a few times. I see him mostly going around so intoxicated he's not entirely sure that he's talking to somebody that's actually there.
One of the things with our these abilities that we're talking about right now, they increase over games if they're not cured. So there's 3 levels of each one, and so it increases from level 1 to level 2 between games, and then it goes from level 2 to level 3 between games. And there's a different recipe to cure it for each level.
That's for monster status effects, though. This is, I think anything that's that we're going to be doing that's like craftable that you can inflict on another player, like from player to player, would probably be like a hour duration or something like that.
yeah, I think they have durations on them.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
there are
so 30-second roleplay to get drunkenness. Blah, 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 blah. So
there's the player version of that, and then there's the monstrous / plot version of that, which becomes a progressively worsening problem. So say you get contracted disease that intoxicates you, then yes, it follows that entire path that you were discussing, Jeff. And then or some sort of poison that's from some sort of plot source.
Well, speaking to the character, less to the working on making more potion ideas available. And I know we don't like to hamper creativity, but I also want folks to have some ability to say like, oh, I can do this with this thing. Or I can do that with
something else with that is like, if you something that you can do with any of your crafting abilities is, oh, I picked up this potion, I don't know what it is. You can spend a use to identify it. If you have a creative way to use that as something similar, even if you're like, oh, hey, I've got this thing, can I can I use my crafting ability to do blah, 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 blah. If you come up with that idea in the middle of the game, find one of the 4 of us and we'll go, oh, that's probably cool. We have a little bit of a rule of cool, It's like, if it sounds cool in the moment, we'll be like, yeah, sure, go do that. It's not going to break anything.
Yeah. 2 things that I'm wanting to develop out of it, possibly 3, are 1, he learned how to make his intoxicant when he was trying to learn how to make a potion of immortality at the temple.
Okay.
It was intended to be a healing potion. It ended up being a very powerful intoxicant. And I would like to say that he has a somewhat easier time down the line of developing salves or so on, because being that intensive an alcohol, it would have some ability to disinfect.
Yeah. In the way that you would kind of play something like that is that, like, adding in a different additive to it changes its effect or something like that. So it's a different recipe, but it could be like the same base, and that's your role play of it.
The other thing I was going to say is 2 ways that I'm taking Hanu may be influenced by that. 1, when you're talking about like somebody being so intoxicated they see things that aren't there, well, that might actually be part of Hanu's path into becoming a spiritualist and a ghost hunter and so on. And 2, at some point, and I might trade this for some like permanent disadvantages, I want to say that he has some immunity to his own alcohol, but he probably also has DTs if he's not taking it.
So that immunity, we do have an ability that would work in that we have resistances, some abilities that are resistances. It would resist so many uses per day. I think they start with 2.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where that would come into play.
I would probably try to pick that up later on.
Yep.
I love a scene in Jackie Chan's first Drunken Master movie where he fails to bring his master actual wine, so he waters it down, and the master starts getting DTs in the middle of the scene, and he can't fight because he doesn't have his alcohol. So, yeah, I might do something like that. Anyway, don't want to take up too much time on that.
No, it's good questions.
Thanks for covering a little bit more. It is some of the crafting skills are a little bit hard to for me to wrap my head around.
Sure. Well, if you find that that's the case, always ask those questions, because chances are if you're running into that situation, somebody else is as well.
Cool. I like the idea that the alchemy skill gives you some ability to explore what another potion does.
Yeah, they all do that. So if you find like an amulet, a magical amulet, you can spend an artificing to identify it, or you find a mechanical bomb, for example. An artisan could do that too. It's just something that comes with the crafting abilities.
Yep.
So I mean, I know speaking from my sorry, go ahead.
I gotta go. My ride's here. So bye.
Bye.
Go to the wedding.
Oh.
But speaking from my own perspective, I don't mind, if you come up with an idea, like, hey, in the game you find something, you're like, oh, it's like, I want to be able to do this. Can I do that? If I do, like, and that works for a lot of the abilities, actually, like, especially the ones that affect the environment and stuff.
I will also say, like, for the character, Hanu is definitely a monkey who is like, I probably shouldn't eat that.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
So I will.
I shouldn't, but I can't find out what it does if I do not.
Ben, you spend this entire game wandering around in the woods. Okay.
Go switch out to Kieran, and then we'll let you know what happened on it.
Lying on his belly, talking to the mushroom he just ate.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, that could be fun if you do actually want to just lay on the ground and talk to nothing. People might come around you. It might be interesting.
It's very in character.
And we've been playing in an area where there's less muggles, so you're less likely to get the police called.
True.
All good. All good.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate the question.
Yeah. By the way, Ryan, I've been trying to look up Finnish names while we're on here too.
Behindthename.com is a beautiful website.
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys?
Not really.
All right. Well, if that's it, we'll go ahead and we'll close off this official part of the meeting, and thank everyone for being here. Thank you for watching the video afterwards. Check out the rest of our videos on YouTube, and hopefully we'll see you in the near future. Bye, everybody.
Bye.